Hello there, and welcome to the Untitled Film Podcast.
Back in the studio.
Back in the studio after
however many home records we've done.
Yeah.
But 2 or 3, just out of convenience. No one was travelling or anything this time, just work schedules and things. It became a lot easier.
But, Callum, you've cut me off once again.
Once again, I didn't do it last week, so I knew I had to get one in.
Yeah. So, what people don't know is who this podcast is with.
I don't know.
Johnny and some other guy who we'll be very soon replacing.
You say that every week, and it hasn't happened yet. I am irreplaceable. I'm like, that bit in GoldenEye. I am invincible! Just before he gets doused with the freezing liquid.
And the freezing liquid's coming any day now.
Any day now, yeah. You've been saying that for months. It's been over a year.
Wow.
Still waiting.
I keep giving you one more chance, but I don't know what I do. One of these days. Anyway.
So who are we?
If you were wanted to apply to replace Callum in this podcast, there is a place where you could go and message us to do that, or message me specifically to do that. And Callum, where is that?
Well, you can go to Untitled Film Podcast, where your messages will get deleted by me. And that's on Facebook and Instagram. We do check both, but if we're being honest, we're a bit more active on Instagram, if we're just being honest with that. We're also on YouTube, if you want to listen back to our reviews and you quite haven't figured out this whole Spotify revolution thing. Hi, Mum. Then that's where you can find us there. And we ask a bunch of questions and fun things. And we did ask a question this week. And the question was, great trailer, shame about the movie. And put up a few examples. But Johnny, what would you say if you had to choose one?
The first Suicide Squad.
Yes.
Easily. I thought the trailer for that was absolutely amazing. And it was boring and a mess, and definitely a film you could tell that it was probably not very good anyway, and then someone saw Guardians at the studio and went, I want that, and somebody tried to cobble that together, and obviously that doesn't work, completely changing a movie tonally and putting many cut montages of music in. So yeah, what about you?
Another example that you brought out, because we had a discussion about this on the bus back home from Canterbury after a night out, and I think one that you said was Terminator Salvation by McG.
It was indeed.
And I watched it back, and it is a really good trailer. It's very moody. Christian Bale is looking, he's got real gravitas. He's not just cashing in the paycheck, or so we thought. And then the movie came out
using special Kodak film that had been tinted in a certain way. Great Nine Inch Nails song. Yeah, it's a great trailer.
It looked like the whole thing was coming together, and then the movie did not come together.
Boring.
Yes, very boring. I've only seen it the once, and it's dull.
I don't know. I finished it. I might have done. If I did, I don't remember the ending.
I think it was one of those films I just threw on, and I think most of the time I was checking Facebook or something. I don't think I was watching it.
I've got a feeling it was like a plain film. I remember being really excited for it because I saw the trailer, and then the reviews came out, and I was like, oh, that bad. I don't know if I want to ruin.
And we should have known from McG. It's like how
McG!
A lot of people, including myself, actually was excited for Watchmen, and a lot of us were like, okay, we'll give that Zack Snyder another chance, because this trailer, really good Smashing Pumpkins song, well placed. Montaged. It looks like he's really carefully recreated the world of Watchmen, and then that was the problem. He carefully recreated the world of Watchmen without really understanding it, and just got a very dull 3-hour film. It's like, I could just be reading the comic. It's a lot better than this.
Yeah, I kind of agree. Yeah, that was another one that was a bit of a disappointment. I know some people love Zack Snyder, but I just don't rate him.
Have you seen the trailer for Rebel Moon, the new one? No. He pitched a movie to Star Wars and they said no. So he just kind of retrofitted it to just be a Netflix original sci-fi space opera. And it looks like if Zack Snyder tried to do a Star Wars movie.
Yeah, I don't get it. I just don't. I've never got it. He doesn't get story. He doesn't get script.
He's dumb.
He doesn't get actors.
He's just not a smart person.
Everything's muddy.
Yeah,
the slow motion thing. It's just annoying.
He's just not a smart person, but I think he thinks he is.
I think the people that watch him think they are. The kind of people that think Joe Rogan's smart.
Exactly. Yes.
Podcast shots fired.
Yeah.
Woo!
We're coming for you, Joe.
Podcaster will be... This time next year, we'll have more listeners. Probably because he'll be cancelled.
Well, yeah, that's...
Although if he hasn't been
impending.
cancelled yet, is he going to be cancelled?
Yeah. He's too mild to be cancelled. That's his secret.
And bland and meatheaded.
Exactly.
Anyway.
He's so stupid.
That's my Joe Rogan rant for the day. Yeah. Anyway, I think that moves us on nicely to the news. Lots of people have been cancelled this week, but one thing that's been uncancelled, and what is that, Callum? We're going to share this bit of news.
Well, the Writers Guild of America strike is coming to a close. They put in a deal has been struck. I think it's still...
They're finalising the details.
They are dotting the I's and crossing the T's, but this is essentially it.
I think they've had a big list of revised independent productions, which are going to get going pretty quick, I think.
Yes,
and
they
obviously
are.
The big studio ones will take a bit longer to get going, probably.
Yes. So until this is kind of filed and notioned and all that kind of legal jargon, it isn't in effect yet. But the deal that they have is the deal that's going through. They're just kind of, finalising that.
There is still one other issue, though, isn't there, Callum?
What's that?
What about the actors?
That is still going, but from my understanding, they are meeting with whoever it is they need to meet. I forget what the acronym for the... because
it's like AFTRA, something.
Yeah,
SAG-AFTRA,
SAG-AFTRA.
It's because there was two unions and they both joined together X amount of years ago.
Yes, that's true. So they are meeting, I think, in early October, but that's still going ahead. That's still in the wind, but it looks fairly good, I think.
Don't think they had as many issues as the writers did.
Yeah.
Obviously, the rise of Netflix and things has affected their residuals, but nowhere near as badly as writers, and they've not had these mini writing rooms. And again, obviously, eventually AI probably could start replacing more and more actors. And they had all this thing about scanning actors and stuff, but I think the writing side of things, it was a bigger
concern because
also sooner on the
on the it was coming down the hill. And I do have an LA Times article here, so just a quick summary. I'm not going to go into kind of great detail. So it's higher pay, the percentages, the raise percentages are going up by a percentage or two in the first year, followed by 4% in year 2 and 3.5 in year 3. Streaming bonuses and data, they're going to be more transparent, sharing data with the Writers Guild of America, the kind of stuff that we don't get to see, what shows are actually popular. Their minimum staffing, and it's on episode breakages. So a show with 6 episodes has to have a minimum 3 writers, 13 or more per season, minimum 6, including 3 writer-producers. The minimum employment of writers per episode applies to greenlit shows, of course. Artificial intelligence, which was the big one, that the studios have to be more transparent. It's not that they haven't been able to get rid of it entirely, which I didn't think they realistically thought they could. But the studios have to go, okay, here's a scenario we want you to write. It's written by AI. They have to actually say, they can't hide that, which is what they were planning to do. There's a lot more. I would suggest trying to find this LA Times article, or Adam Conover, who is the TV show host and writer. You'll probably know him from Adam Ruins Everything on YouTube and TBS. He is the kind of head honcho of the Writers Guild of America. If you find him on Twitter, he goes through, he bullet points them in kind of easy, digestible fashion. So if you want a more comprehensive breakdown, I'd suggest going to find either article or that.
I thought there was something about minimum amount of weeks on shows as well.
There may very well have
13 episode
been.
Season, this is the minimum. None of these things, but we'll have 2 people in for the first 6 weeks, and then we'll build the room out from there, kind of vibe. I still find the whole AI thing a bit strange. I don't feel like I would want to watch something that is predominantly written by AI. I don't think many people would.
It would be completely soulless, and even if it was then cobbled together by a real writer to make it comprehensive, it's still going to have that touch of deadness.
Okay, yeah, but even in 10 years' time, when maybe it's got better and there's maybe less deadness in there, it would sour it for me just knowing that it's not written by
Oh, it totally would me too. And if they do have to be transparent, though, that might push the box office in certain ways. People vote with their wallets.
Exactly.
They might say, no, I'm not going to go see that. It's AI. I'm not going to pay for that. And that might be where the change comes. If they have to be transparent about it, then it might be where the change comes from people actually going, no, I don't want to see this, like 3D, which flared up and then went down, or any other of the fads that have come and gone.
Well, speaking of 3D, I was kind of thinking, who do I think would make an AI film? James Cameron. Because he doesn't like writing movies anyway. He certainly doesn't like editing them down to a usable script or good dialogue. So if you wanted a stock storyline that's 3 hours long and has bad dialogue, it's basically, I feel like an AI could write that.
Just so that James Cameron's lawyers don't come and get us, I would suggest maybe he does enjoy writing very bland stories because his end goal is to just revolutionize the CGI on top of them. He might actually enjoy going, plot A, they go to the planet. Plot B, oh no, fights. All right, great. Print.
I don't get why he writes his own movies. Why doesn't he just get good scripts and then get to play with CGI?
I just don't think he cares about how good or bad the scripts are. It's the CGI is the end goal. Well, this is kind of a tangent now, but I would hesitate to say that he's desperate to be the one to go to AI. He might very well enjoy writing his very cookie cutter.
I just thought just a thought had occurred to me.
Sure.
But ironically, he's made the 3 biggest films of all time.
He has indeed.
Three of the 4 biggest films of all time.
Yes, of course, because Avengers Endgame is still in there.
Which also probably could have been made by AI, but there we go.
Hey-o.
Anyway, but no, that looks like it's coming to an end. Hopefully the Screen Actors Guild and whatever the other bit of Screen Actors Guild is called.
AFTRA. I'm pretty sure it's AFTRA.
Will come to an end soon. We'll have some new movies and TV coming out because I feel like it already starting to feel things being dripped. You can feel like there are things in people's pockets that are ready to come out, but they're getting further and further.
There's going to be a gulch soon. There's going to be a dry spell.
Either that or they're going to be making stuff fast and the quality will drop.
Yes.
But anyway. And also for everyone else who isn't an actor or a writer who's been negatively affected by the script, it'd be good for the CGI artists, although some are probably happy for a break.
Anybody working in a crew has been affected by this, exactly. and they're not the people who are earning enough money to make a living. A lot of people are now retired or gone on to other jobs or day jobs. So hopefully this comes back so that people can be in work again.
And they're already arguing that there's been a big drop anyway. Certainly I don't know so much about the US, but in the UK film industry, there's been a massive drop in the last, even kind of post-COVID, there wasn't the recovery I think they thought there was going to be. And it's taken them a while to get going again. And I think this has just really negatively affected it. And then a lot of people aren't unionised in the UK, but if they're big studio movies, the tendrils still
absolutely.
come over.
And they come over here to film. So many productions come over here to film that. What hits America hits us too.
Exactly. Anyway, so that is good news. I think you have another piece of quick news.
Yeah, quick one. Wish, the trailer for the new Disney film, has come out, and it's apparently been in the works for 100 years. It's been one of those ideas that Walt Disney had and then abandoned to do something else, but he's one of the ones he kept coming back to and then stopped, coming back to and stopped, and now they're finally getting it done. It has this sort of cel-shaded sort of look to it, and it has quite an old school look to it. The songs sound like they could come from have a Wish Upon a Star sort of feel to them.
Racist.
Let's hope they've exercised those details, but there's something quite old school about its look. So it could be the trailer looks kind of mildly fun, so hopefully it's a banger and not a clanger.
Interesting. I did see it, and I'm interested to see how that turns out. I feel like I've just lost the Disney magic at the minute, but maybe this will bring it back.
Disney does go through its periods, doesn't it?
It really does. My quick piece of second news is that many of you know they were going to make a Lando Calrissian TV series.
Yes, I did hear that.
With the legend that is Donald Glover, continue to play Lando. They are now switching it over to a movie.
Yes, so I heard that.
The movie is it's becoming a movie, which is interesting on 2 levels. One, because they've had such success with the Star Wars TV series, a lot more than the
I thought they weren't doing well. I heard that the TV shows were sort of, except for that recent one that did really well. Andorra
on the Mandalorian.
Mandalorian.
Well.
But the others, I thought the kind of problem with them is that they weren't clicking with people.
Yeah, I think Boba Fett did, but I think the most recent one, Ahsoka, I don't think has, with Rosario Dawson, which I actually really wanted to click with people, but hasn't. But I think the others have. But anyway, what I was going to say was I think they have had more success than they have had with the movies of late. And obviously the Solo movie was really not that well received, as much as I kind of have a soft spot for it and think it would have been very good if they'd have let Lord and Miller do their thing.
Indeed.
But yeah, so actually I think it's interesting that they're going back and making another Star Wars movie, because that's really been off the table for, when was it the third of the trilogy came out?
2019.
So it's that 4 years. So by the time that comes out, it'll be like 6 years since they had a Star Wars movie. So it'll be quite a big gap. So it's an interesting one, I think. But hopefully, with Donald on board, will be successful.
It might be nice if it's sort of more low key, like the Ant-Man of the Star Wars, so that they can do something low stakes and have it just be a fun shoot 'em up heist rather than trying to tie us into some planet-ending thing.
I feel like that's what they tried to do with Solo a bit, and then
I think they started to, and then they start introducing things which I don't want to spoil, and they're like, "Oh, come on, you lost me." But that's a review for a different time.
Wow, quite. But no, I'm excited anyway, tentatively. So yeah. I think that brings us on to the meat and potatoes of the week. So, Callum, what are we going to be talking about this week?
Well, in a slight change of fashion, two new things. One slightly newer than the other, but we're going to be reviewing the first seasons of both Winning Time, The Rise of the Lakers Dynasty. Awful title, just awful. And the documentary series, Welcome to Wrexham, with Ryan Reynolds and Rob Mcelhenney. Both the theme linking them today is sports and the how takeovers and buying of clubs and buying of teams affects a team's future. So yeah, that's what we're going to be doing.
Absolutely.
Which one are we going to do first?
I think we should do Wrexham, because I think it is the newer of the two, just
like by a hair, but yes.
Yeah. Do you want to do Wrexham, or shall I?
You can take it if you want.
Okay. So, Wrexham is a documentary series about the takeover of Wrexham Football Club by Rob Mcelhenney of Always Sunny and Mythic Quest fame, and by Ryan Reynolds of Deadpool and many things fame. In COVID, it all apparently came from an idea of Humphrey Keir, who was a writer of Rob Mcelhenney's worked with Rob Mcelhenney, but worked on Always Sunny and Mythic Quest, also acted a little bit. And he was getting Rob into football while they were on the set. And he was like, "You should buy a football team. There's loads of lower club ones that used to be successful, and then they kind of just run out of money and fell down the leagues, or have got stuck and have got these facilities that are there perfect for the taking and just underutilised. And they've got a brand that's underutilised and have a big catchment area and a loyal fan base, but just don't have the money to get the momentum to get them back up the leagues. So I think there's a business opportunity there, and it'll be good for a local thing." Bob Mcelhenney, to his credit, started looking into this with Humphrey, and then realised, I think as he said in one of the episodes, that he didn't need just TV star money, he needed movie star money. So I think in his words, he slid into Ryan Reynolds' DMs and said, you like business, you're a businessman, you got your gin and your mobile network and loads of businessy things. How about you buy a English football or British football club with me? Amazingly, even though they didn't know each other that well, Ryan went, "Yeah, great idea." And they found Wrexham in North Wales and bought that together. And this is a documentary series about the first year of that. And Callum, what did you think?
Well, at first I was very worried because these kinds of documentaries, especially Disney Plus documentaries with celebrity money, what I was worried is that within an episode or two, we'd start hearing Coldplay's Fix You, and we'd start hearing all the cheesy kind of things that a lot of times happens in these documentaries where people are hugging and crying and learning. And a show like this, at least in its editing and its packaging, wouldn't wouldn't exist without the recent success of something like Ted Lasso. The way this is presented and cobbled together and cut, not saying that this is Rob or Ryan's intention, but the way that the documentary series has been formatted, shall we say, is very much like, well, we've just had there's a breakout hit for English football, and now, you know, English football and British football is successful all over the world and having fan bases that we've never seen before. And I was also a little bit worried because in the first couple of episodes, I felt the YouTubeification of documentaries has worried me a bit, and where things are more quick and fast and flash with the editing, but with the substance not being there, it's pretty and it's presentable. Because at one point they brought on John Green, the author and YouTuber, and I kind of had a bit of a sinking feeling that this is where it was going. But that was just to kind of get us in the door, to kind of, you know, give us the facts, and then it settled down a bit. And I found myself really, really enjoying it. I found that Ryan and Rob's motives were sincere. They also made a point of showing the club from different angles, from football hooliganism to also the worry that if the club doesn't do well, are Rob and Ryan just going to leave? You know, people, and the concerns of the people became the main thing, with Rob and Ryan being, from about episode 4 or 5, the kind of background players a bit more. The only episode I think there's a real bad thing is when they do the just Rob and Ryan episode, and they do it with kind of cooking Welsh foods and stuff like that. That was YouTubeification, but I felt they did that to sort of like, okay, gang, come in, enjoy this, and now you can have a proper documentary. But no, I really like this, and I felt they kind of spun the drama very well, especially because with anything sports related, you have to, there are climaxes that are sort of pre-baked, because, you know, are they going to rise or are they going to fall? This is the game that will do the thing, and will they win the game? And, you know, it's like any of these things, they have these dramas pre-baked into the whole thing. So it's a dream for any documentary filmmaker coming in going, well, I know what we're going to end the season on. But no, I really, really enjoyed it. What about yourself?
Yeah, it's right. I really like it. I am actually watching the second season at the minute, which I think so far one of the episodes is the best episode from the run. But no, overall I think it's really good. I think it's both slick enough and real enough. It kind of does both. I think, like, neither of us are massively into football. Probably you less than me, and absolutely. I'm not massively into it. And I think I needed a little bit of sort of slickness to get me in. And I think I wanted a bit of business, and I wanted a little bit of star power, and I wanted a little bit of like localness, and I wanted a bit of football. I wanted to kind of mix those things. I think it gets the balance really right for the most part. I agree with you that episode with Rob and Ryan's a bit weird, but I kind of like it, and I think that's where I'm like, that's a bit of star power episode. And I also think it probably, for us as, you know, Brits who know about Wales and know about football, maybe it matters less than us, but actually maybe it's quite useful. It may
very well have been necessary for fans in America who kind of have no idea about all this.
And I do think that's part of it. I think with this show, it's obviously good for Wrexham. You know, it gives them an extra income when they were spending a lot of extra money, and it obviously has helped them sell out. Like, they've sold out on merchandise and they could have sold way more and couldn't get enough merchandise, and like, it's become a massive thing, and they have they sell out the stadiums now, and it's built the brand, which is good for their long-term sustainability financially. But I think it will be very good for football or soccer, as the Americans would call it, in the US, because obviously it's kind of it's been kind of a weird revolution, I feel like, in the US. Obviously, it always very much hinged upon their own sports. Always was American football, or as they would call it, football, and baseball and basketball and things, which weren't that massive over here. Basketball probably the biggest, I would say. It rolls through periods. When Michael Jordan was big, it was kind of fairly popular over here, but outside of that, never really been massive over here. And I think that is for a lot of the world. Basketball has actually been quite exported, but outside of that, I don't think many other countries really watch much American football or baseball. other than a bit of like occasionally with a curiosity like on the Super Bowl and stuff. And I think then the reverse always happened. They never really let international sports in, and then obviously they did start to build up soccer teams in the US, and obviously LA Galaxies and things happened, and it's been going from strength to strength of late, as have things like Formula One, and there's quite a few other kind of international sports that seem to have broken through in the US. I suppose with the internet and people kind of finding their thing that they like, and maybe realizing, oh, actually, maybe I don't like that thing so much. Maybe I want something a bit more complex or a bit different, or maybe less TV adverts, or whatever it is, just a little bit of a different vibe. And I think this will only help in not just UK, although I'm sure it'll help the Premier League and all the which Wrexham are very much not a Premier League club, but that will help UK football, but I'm sure it will help international football as well, and European football, and South American football and things. I think it will help build that, which it's got to be a good thing overall. So I know I really like it. I think I like the bigger picture of it, and also just think I think it's well put together and slick and fun, and it does show it's not all just happy all the time. It's never like, oh, I'm going to be crying myself to sleep kind of sad either, but it's it's not just like everything was great and everyone got on and everything was perfect and they won every game and the world was their oyster.
I do like the contrast between the life in LA and then Wrexham. Like, I'm not even sure if this was a deliberate element of the show. They just filmed some stuff with Rob and Ryan, and then they'd film some stuff back in Wrexham. But the contrast between bright and sunny LA, where these really nice guys and who are very sincere, perfect teeth, their concerns start to seem slightly minimal compared to the concerns of people living in Wrexham. And it does a good job at showing the lives of the players. It makes a point of saying, like, a top player in the Premier League might earn several million, but for most people, it's a lower middle class job. 30-something thousand, I think they quoted. And it had a nice use of contrast and conflicts to show the variations on the different lives. And while Rob and Ryan are very sympathetic, the dramas of the players, it was a good idea to kind of, once you, like I said, come in, the YouTubeification sort of thing, you're in now, you've enjoyed Rob and Ryan faffing about and having fun and cooking Welsh food. Now look at this, and it made a point to kind of focus on them less, and they became more supporting characters. I thought it was a very wise decision. They knew that you needed to bury the medicine in a little bit of sugar, sort of thing. And they're editing, the balancing and the editing was very sharp in that regard, and what they focused on was very sharp.
And I know we're not reviewing season 2 technically, but actually I've noticed that even more in season 2. Like, you'll have a bit with Ryan and Rob at the start of every episode, and when they're at the club, you might see them. But outside of that, they're not in it that much. It's more about the players. It's about the locals. It's about
it goes
Humphrey.
Beyond their story.
No, it does. If anything, they're seen as more at this point nuisance, and I think they admit they almost like in it. They're always kind of taking the piss out of themselves a bit, like, we just come in, sprinkle a little bit of Hollywood magic, and then let all the actual serious people do all the serious work. And I think that's where the documentary gets it right. It could have just been a Rob and Ryan fest, and actually,
it was nice when there was that moment where you see the physiotherapist going, "Oh, they're fucking around here. We got a game on Saturday, for fuck's sake!" And it was a nice thing to put that in, to not let that slide. They could have so easily vetoed that.
There's another moment in the second season with Humphrey with that as well.
Oh, really?
Humphrey's like, "For fuck's sake, why has Rob just turned up? He hasn't told anybody." This has put me in a very awkward position. But it's good. Excellent. Any more to say?
No, I think that's covered it.
I think
Murder, She Wrote
then brings us nicely to an advertisement break.
Well, I'd buy that for a football stadium.
And welcome back.
What a scamp I am.
Hopefully I drowned.
We
out
do like
bullshit.
our larks and japes on this show, don't we?
Yes, we do. Anyway, kind of
do the summary for the LA Lakers.
Anyway, so I've decided to do the rest of this podcast solo. So I will be talking about
Can you even remember
Winning Time, which is a TV show with
That's not even half.
John C. Reilly. Winning Time and something about the LA Lakers, some bullshit about the LA Lakers.
Much longer than that, and I have to burden you with it. I'll keep
No,
yelling.
you don't.
I'll keep yelling. You'll hear me on the feed.
Anyway,
I'm talking over you. You can't review it if I'm talking over you.
he's not talking very loudly though. What I'm going to do is whisper into the microphone and turn the microphone down, so that way that the shouting that you can't hear his shouting. So
There's only so many angles.
anyway, there was this guy, and he buys the LA Lakers,
You can hear me now, can't you?
and they've made a TV show.
My show now, taking over. This is what we call a hostile takeover. Yeah, I thought so.
Anyway, so yeah, this guy, he buys the LA Lakers,
No, come on.
and then he starts to win things.
I'm just gonna make
Can you stop tapping the
No,
microphone?
sorry, Rob.
God, go on then.
Quality podcasting, this, isn't it?
Go on then.
All right. Do you want to know the full title? Oh, come on. All right. Are you going to behave?
Are you going to behave?
Yes, I'll behave.
Okay, go on then. What's the full title?
The full title is Winning Time, The Rise of the Lakers Dynasty, which... Can you leave the controls alone now?
What controls? I don't know what you're talking about.
Of course he doesn't. Yes, so Winning Time, The Rise of the of the Lakers Dynasty, which is a terrible title. It makes it sound like some really bad documentary from the mid-90s. But anyway, could you just leave the controls alone, okay?
I'm not touching the controls.
Yes, you are. You're a naughty boy, and we don't like naughty
them.
Okay, so it says in 1979 when Dr. Jerry Buss takes over the LA Lakers, and he has this big...
It's not Buse. Bus.
I thought it was Bus, but Buse maybe. And his big idea is that for the early 80s, he's going to completely revamp this whole thing. He's going to make it like a superstar show with dancers and things. But he needs a new kind of hot... my God. Hot draft pick. So, which is the introduction of probably one of the most famous basketball players. He's one of the few that I think us English people would know, Magic Johnson. And this happens to coincide with the start of the downward trajectory of the career of Abdul Karim Jabbar, the very famous basketball player. And like any sort of sports docudrama, it has all the various players that if you're a fan of the sport, you might know. But it has a lot of celebrities cast in certain roles, like you have Jason Clarke and Adrian Brody, who played former champions, who are now brought into as different in different jobs on this new kind of hot LA Lakers team. And it's about, as the title suggests, winning time. It's their rise to the top with these players that we know, like Magic Johnson. So, Johnny, what did you think about the winning time, the rise of the Lakers dynasty?
Yeah, it was all right.
And what did you really think?
No, I really like it. No, it's it's a little bit of a mess at times. Some things it drags out, and it's a bit all over the place at times. It's trying to do. It feels like it's trying to do too much. Having said that, I think it's incredibly sincere. You can tell the people who've made it really care about the subject matter. In fact, friendships fell apart because certain people cared about the subject matter so much.
Absolutely.
It is an interesting story in itself. The acting is fantastic. There's a really good cast of actors, all, if not the top of their game, near the top of their game. So only from a TV point of view. And it is a compelling story. I think I like the way it's structured. I like the fact that the show is kind of the first season. Because obviously the fact there's the dynasty word is in there, suggests that they were successful for more than one season. You don't tend to build a dynasty out of one successful season. And yeah, overall, I think it's a incredibly fun, interesting, compelling story. That's a bit of a mess. How about you?
Yeah, no, a bit of a mess is a good description. I liked very much the style of it. juggled around between different types of films. So 8mm, digital, 16mm, and it creates a kaleidoscopic sort of viewing experience. You'll have characters breaking the fourth wall to kind of remind you of things that happened, or say things like, "Oh, we're doing fine. Look to the camera. We are fucked." That kind of stuff. I thought at times it was a bit of a case of all flash and no trousers, where
there's a lot of flash.
Yeah, there's a lot of flash. The subject matter in its writing and the scripts aren't nearly smart enough, so they do sell you on the razzle dazzle. But in a way, that's kind of what the LA Lakers in the 80s did. They brought in dancing girls. The whole idea is that they were going to change their stadium to be like a mix between the Playboy Mansion, Hollywood, and this place, and all these exciting things. So yeah, the bit of flash and no trousers. It's probably a good, style meets the context. I think that what hasn't been spoken about is the two kind of leads outside of John C. Reilly as Bus Buse, let's call the whole thing off, is Quincy Isaiah as Magic Johnson and Solomon Hughes as Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, both of whom are first-timers. I was very surprised to see that, because they had the confidence of kind of future movie stars, both in kind of different types of Magic Johnson's very confident. He's very, he has, there's this really great scene where Kareem speaks to Magic Johnson's dad and fiddling around with the controls. And at one point he says, "Your son, he's very happy. Does he not realize that we're black?" You tell me right down. Okay, I'll just keep talking. You do what you want. Does he not realize we're black? Like, it's fine to be confident. It's fine to be happy. But there does come a point where you must realize how is he not affected by any of this? And the Quincy Isaiah, kind of brings that across. It's all smiles and pearly teeth, and the actor who plays Kareem kind of displays it with a weight on his shoulders. I did find myself far more interested in that drama and Magic Johnson's rivalry with Larry Bird, the other rookie that was kind of hot shit was it Boston Celtics? Yeah.
Who's their big kind of number one enemy as well.
Yeah, exactly. I found that a lot more compelling, I have to say, than anything with John C. Reilly or the kind of behind the scenes. I found myself at times going, "Oh, Jason Clarke and John C. Reilly, go away! I want to see this other show."
I was fairly interested with the coaching side of it.
Yes, me too.
And the story behind that. John C. Reilly's story was the least interesting bit, but then I think that's the whole thing with sports, and I think that's almost goes back to what we were saying about the Wrexham documentary. The least exciting bit about the Wrexham documentary is the two Hollywood stars, because actually it's about a sport and a sports team. And I think with this, the sports team and that stuff is the more interesting bit.
Yes.
But to contextualise it, you need to show that razzle-dazzle of why the changes come in and stuff.
It is certainly necessary, but I found after about 4 or 5 episodes, it's like, I can see less of this. I'm not sure I care about the accounting and where the money's going or how they wrangled this dollar out of it. I want to see more on the pitch, and I was more happy when they came on. And especially how it ties to court, pitch, wherever these sports are played, and especially how it ties with things like civil rights and stuff like that. I just found that a lot more compelling and interesting.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think that's maybe a slightly interesting part of it. I think there's a kind of hinted at with the rivalry between the Celtics and the Lakers as well, is that the Lakers are maybe a little bit more kind of like LA, a bit more multicultural, a bit more modern, and that maybe the Celtics are a little bit more. That kind of like, they're called the Celtics. I think you kind of get what I'm going with this. Maybe a little bit more that kind of like hard Irish edge that you got in Boston at the time, and to an extent, supposed to still get in some areas. But yeah, and maybe there's a bit of a clashing of cultures there as well. And I think there's quite an interesting story being told there too. No, absolutely. And I think it did that part of it really well. Yeah, I think it did. So no, I think overall it's well worth a watch if you like sports or you don't. If you like sports, then really worth a watch. If you don't like sports, it's still a good quality drama. Unfortunately, they've done another season, but that's it.
Yeah.
It's after 2
'Cause
seasons.
it's very expensive. I mean, half the cast are A-listers who probably all demand however much per episode. That they're all kind of getting their due.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think I think it's well worth. I think I think it is a really good show. It's been really interesting. But I kind of understand maybe why, if he didn't find an audience quick enough, why HBO maybe weren't rushing at a third season. I haven't watched the second season yet, so I don't know if the quality dips or if it's better or or how it goes. But certainly from its kind of debutante season, it's a definite recommend for me. It was a while back I watched it now, and I really liked it. And I've been telling lots of people to watch it. I think a lot of people would like it. It is obviously, it's Adam McKay, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
And he's got a lot of that kind of. He's a bit of a fidgeter when it comes to editing. He does like Big Short and things. The camera moves around a lot and it cuts.
It's a
so many
lot of
times
that kind of thing. It's very film bro sort of filmmaking.
Actually, again, that was something I didn't say in Wrexham. It's one thing that I also thought they had kind of in common, is that where is something Adam McKay likes to do is like cut away to a metaphor and have a celebrity or someone do the metaphor. And they also think they almost did in Wrexham. It's like they almost saw, those kind of things are like, how do we explain things, but in a fun way?
Yes.
And Adam McKay likes doing that. And there was bits of that in this as well. There was bits of that definitely in Winning Time. Blumpity bloopity blub blub blub.
Dreadful title. Maybe that's why it's being cancelled. People couldn't pronounce the title.
Yeah, if they'd just called it
Winning Time
or the Lakers Dynasty
or something. Yeah, 2-word title. You don't need 8. Who the hell do you think you are?
But it's like. I mean, I would only ever call it Winning Time anyway.
Well, yeah.
But it's like Mythic Quest. That is another one that is just like Mythic Quest, and I never even know what comes after Mythic Quest.
I can't remember.
And it's just like, who signed off on this? Name me one show that has got 8 words in its title that's ever been truly successful.
That's a good point. I haven't thought about that.
If anything, one word: Friends, Seinfeld,
Frasier.
Yeah. Game of Thrones is 3, but one of them is an of.
Yeah, and The Simpsons, one of them is a the.
Yeah, so I would say Simpsons anyway. I think most people would. Whoever let that get through basically doomed that show.
Bad form.
Hundreds of millions of pounds have been wasted.
We should hire Adrian Brody for a not much role. Yeah, no, it's worth our money.
And we'll give it 8 words in its title. Great idea.
But Adrian Brody looks a lot like him. Yeah, I don't care. Get someone else.
Someone who's cheaper.
Yeah.
To be fair, what is Adrian Brody up to these days?
Well,
he's good.
true,
I like him. He's one of the more compelling storylines.
Yeah, no, he is good. I'm not being mean.
But yeah, anyway, it's finished. There's been 2 seasons. Maybe we're lucky we got that. But yeah. Anyway, I think that probably ties up our 2 reviews of the day.
I think so.
Let me just adjust the audio levels. Anyway, so Callum, Wrexham.
Very good.
Is it called Welcome to Wrexham?
Welcome to Wrexham, yes.
Welcome to Wrexham.
But it's one of those things, most people are just going to refer to it as Wrexham. No, it is very good. It's very compelling. It's, as you say, it's got enough flash to kind of open the door for you. And then once you're in, to give you the kind of real stuff. I think anything football related, I have a bit of a ceiling. Like when I was talking about the Full Monty a while ago, inspirational Brit flicks, I have a ceiling. So I think I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I really liked it. I'm not in a rush to see season 2, but I'm sure I will at some point, probably when it's all out. But once I had my arm twisted into watching it for this review, I really, really enjoyed it. And I liked the contrast between flashy Hollywood and not so flashy Wrexham. It was very well told, very well pieced together, solid editing, and not too much star power, so it gets grating.
I actually think I'd agree. I think I would give it an 8 out of 10. I don't think it... the second season I might give a better score to, actually. Obviously it's only 4 episodes out, I think, now, but we'll see. But I think for me, it babied a little bit too much at times, which I understand. if you're introducing an audience that really has very little knowledge in such subject matters, then you may need to do that. But yeah, I think maybe that's one issue. And it didn't tell any stories in such an exciting and compelling way that, like, I was shook to death at the quality that it deserves more than an 8 out of 10. But for what it is, an 8 out of 10 is still a very good documentary series. I think, like, when I think of, I don't know if you've watched on the BBC, there's 2 series made called Once Upon a Time in Iraq and Once Upon a Time in is it Ireland or Once Upon a Time in Belfast? Anyway, there's Iraq's about the Iraq War, and the Ireland one is about the Troubles, and they are like top tier episodic documentary making. And that would be, 9 or a 10. So, yeah, I think giving it an 8 for what it is incredibly good. And Callum, what about Winning Time, the blubbity Destiny Lakers, blah, 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 blah?
It's style over substance. It's a bit unbalanced. It's very messy. But it's endearingly so for the most part. I thought it was really entertaining. A bit of a case of all sizzle and no steak, or flash and no trousers. But the flash is very flashy, and the sizzle was very enticing. I'm sure at some point I'll finish it off and see season 2. And I think we should keep our eyes peeled for Quincy Osea and Solomon Hughes, who for me are the real break stars. Their first roles playing those, larger than life characters. I think I'll give it a 7 out of 10. I'm really interested to see where their careers go.
I am going to give it an 8.
Nice.
I really enjoyed the storyline. I thought it was compelling. I thought it juggled a lot of good, complex stories together fairly well, if messily at times. And maybe, like you said, kind of maybe leaning on the stories you're less interested at times. I think the acting across the board was great. Like you said, there were some great newcomers in there, but there was some really good A-listers, and there was also some good character actors all the way through. Just really well acted. I like that it was trying to spend a bit of money and be a bit flashy and be a bit interesting. I didn't mind that within reason, but it did occasionally start to get in the way of the storytelling, and that's why it's not a 9 or a 10. But overall, I think it's really compelling, well acted show. Did something a bit different, but a bit messy and a bit flawed, which keeps it from greatness.
Yes, agreed.
And a stupid name. Anyway, well, I think that brings us to the end of this week's episode.
I'm not sure if we should complain about silly names, glass houses and all that.
Well, Untitled Film Podcast.
With Callum and Johnny.
That's only 7. That's less.
Oh, it's 1 less.
And some of them, the words are with and I think you can delete those.
Yeah, fair enough.
So technically, I think we're at 5 words.
Fair enough.
And technically, the real name is Untitled Film Podcast. So that's 3 words.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't, and it makes sense.
Yes.
So actually, I didn't wrap up the scores. So we both give Wrexham an 8 out of 10, and we both give blubbity blubbity blub 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 Lakers a 7.5 between us out of 10. So both watches this week.
Yes, very much so.
But yeah, please don't forget to follow and go on our socials and answer our questions, as there will be some more in the near future. We're coming to Halloween, so I'm sure there'll be some Halloween specials coming in the not too distant future. And just to pre-warn everyone, we will be taking a break in December. We're going to reformulate and come back even stronger next year, and also try and get a backlog of episodes, because I am disappearing out of the country for 2 months. So yeah, just thought we will pre-warn you on that one. Any ideas or any feedback for the show is always welcome as well, so please drop that in to the onto the Instagrams and things.
Slide into our DMs, we do love it.
Exactly. Yeah, thanks very much, guys, and see you all next week.
Later.
Bye.
I am invincible.